like small town Montana or something, you know. So it's a very unique place. That's Syria. And yeah.
So the end result, which is so cool, is if you think about it, in Israel, it's really difficult for non-Jews just to get any type of residency status or anything like that, and to have an open evangelical Christian missions organization sort of to have the favor that FAI has, obviously, which starts with serving and partnering and doing all of this through medical access. It's just an incredible thing, the way the Lord has orchestrated all of this. You know, this guy reaches out to Dalton, and here's a Christian missions organization. One of the hardest things for any Middle Eastern focused evangelical missions organization is where are we going to be headquartered? You know, we're going to be up in Armenia, we're going to be over in Cyprus, like where? Because everything is difficult and hostile, and to be planted here of all places in Israel in the Golan, and then have teams over in Iraq, and you know, little by little, I mean, in Syria and so forth. It's really kind of an amazing thing. There's been incredible favor. So the hope, as I said at the beginning, is that that's something that continue for hopefully for years to come.
All of our personnel that we evacuated from here are now in northern Syria, in Rojava and the Kurdish areas, which we can't really talk about what we do there very much, like on public platforms and everything. It's pretty much quiet because of the nature of where it is. But all the lessons we learned here are still being used, so to speak, by some. We had amazing people serve here, and just to say a few words about them, because what the Lord did in bringing those amazing people to go in there and risk their lives and do what they did was just, and we didn't recruit them, the Lord just brought them. In fact, all the people we recruited turned out to be terrible people. All the people that the Lord brought were amazing, which is one lesson to be learned. But all these gang are now serving in Iraq or northern Syria at the moment, mostly.
It was nuts, like little 24-year-old like former Amish girls. And I was like, I don't know, bro, like that I would take responsibility for sending people into Syria. And then I'm like, there's like these little innocent 24-year-old Amish girls hanging out with these like Sunni, you know, like I was just like, and just the courage of it all, it really blew me away. It challenged me tremendously.
It was so beautiful. Like, you know, we'd be the middle of the night, because every time we put anyone in, it was a big operation. So there's tanks and drones, and you know, the Northern Command is aware of it. There's this whole apparatus going on. It's very coordinated with the rebel side. So there's this thing, and it would be this cute little girl with her backpack. You know, you'd have all these snipers and drones and all this stuff. And
with her like little
intense.
Dora the Explorer backpack.
And then, no, you're in an armored personnel carrier, and then, you know, you hear the commander be like, okay, now, send them. And, sorry. And then we'd be like, okay, Tanya, it's go time, go. And Tanya would be like, okay. She hops out of the armored personnel character and walks through this corridor of, you know, soldiers with night vision. All you can hear the drones and you see all this stuff. And then a soldier walks up and opens this gate, opens the fence, and these big bearded guys come out, and they start to try to speak Hebrew to the Israeli officers, and they're hugging and kissing them, and they're trying to speak Hebrew, and the Israeli officers are trying to speak Arabic, and it's just this like embrace. And I remember this moment in time will forever be in my memory of, in the hole in the fence, an Israeli officer hugging a Sunni Syrian opposition fighter, hugging them, kissing each other, as this little girl from Peru walks into the darkness of Syria. That was the project in one picture. And this is why I love the story of what I shared earlier, is the connection with the Israeli side and the Syrian side, and to have them literally embracing and kissing at the border, and then having, you know, these bright-eyed Christian doctors from wherever walking into the darkness of it all was just like one of the great privileges of my life to be able to witness it. It was just so beautiful. So yeah, that's our story in a nutshell of the Golan.
Thank you so much.
If he would have shared, you would have heard a lot more intelligent, like historical, biblical, archaeological stuff. So you kind of just heard some ramblings from me, but thanks for listening.
I always like them to hear, to meet the locals and to get other perspectives. So I'm so happy that you're here and sharing it with us. Seriously.
Joy to meet you guys. Thanks for coming to the
I wasn't in Syria. I mean, not in this way anyway.
But he was in the Golani brigade,
No,
right?
not the
No.
Golani, but
Oh, he was
Nachal Brigade, but never mind.
Training.
Yeah.
6 years after the day of 6 years after the Six-Day War, on 11 October 1973, the Syrians surprised us. We didn't have enough army over here. They collaborate with the Egyptians. The entire Syrian forces, the tanks, tried to enter and penetrate Israel, and it's happened in two different places. One was here, and one more to the south, in the center of the Golan Heights. And if you heard about the Valley of Tears battle, when our brave soldiers held the lines for 3 days and 3 nights, the relation was crazy. They had like 43 tanks against hundreds. They had night vision, we didn't. So all this great battle was right here in this valley. Actually, from here to the far hill over there. And that's the fact I really hate those wind turbines. It's just, and they call it later the Valley of Tears of the Syrian army, because everything you see around you over here was covered with burned Syrian tanks. You can even see I'm not sure if you see, there is one anti-tank canal over here, there's another anti-tank canal just behind the fields, and you can understand that the only place you can let the tanks go through is right here. That's the only way in. So this is it. Maybe on the bus we're going to talk more about this. I mean, we could have prevented if we were a bit smarter and put more personnel over here. That could be avoided. On the other hand, that was a great victory, because after 6 weeks, the Israeli army was right there sieging Damascus, and we were 101 kilometers from Cairo. So both Cairo, the Egyptian capital, and Damascus were right on our hand, and our enemies were begging for ceasefire and mercy. So that was Day of Atonement, 1973, and I think that this is the point that the enemies of Israel understood that they won't be able to destroy us on conventional war, and they need to develop all those proxies and rockets that we mentioned about. Okay, and the American army learned a lot from that. American army learned more from this battle than the Israeli army did. But we'll talk about it later.
So guys, when we get back to the bus, I'm actually going to take, Steve and I are going to take off with Dalton, and I will see you all again at the David Resort in 2 nights. So tomorrow, Iran will take over, and then you guys enjoy a day at the Dead Sea. When you get to the Dead Sea, don't get it in your eyes. This is very important.
Don't jump head first. No, tomorrow it's not your day of relaxation in the Dead Sea. Tomorrow it's a touring day to the Dead Sea. The next day will be a free day for you at the Dead Sea. Okay? We're going to brind you.
You will.